Salam, peace be upon you. My name is Muhammad Layak Sadiqi, the father of Holophase. Episode 13 The Silent Ground. Part 26 The Mirror Does Not Intend. We stand at a quiet threshold. In Part 25, we earned a clean separation that protects the whole program. Mathematics describes patterns. Phi makes patterns possible. Math is a map. Phi is the condition that makes any map able to point to anything real. Now a deeper temptation arrives. A temptation so old it feels like the first human thought that ever looked at the sky. Once you discover something as fundamental as phi, this permission that makes any reality readable at all, the mind wants to treat it like a mind. It wants to give it intention. It wants to say, this must be going somewhere. It wants to say, this must be aimed. So Part 26 exists to cut one more clean boundary into the foundation. A boundary without which everything that comes later becomes mythology disguised as science. Here is the core claim, said plainly. Phi has no purpose. Comparability does not aim. It does not want. It does not intend. It does not prefer. It does not try. It simply is the permission for this, not that. Let me say it again in even simpler words. Phi doesn't aim. Phi allows aiming. And before we go any further, I renew the contract. If you hear me smuggling space, time, energy, matter, or dynamics as primitives here, treat it as an error. And I add a second firewall sentence for this part. If you hear me smuggling purpose into phi itself, treat it as an error. Because purpose is not the ground. Purpose is something that can happen inside the ground, later, when patterns become complex enough to carry memory, preference, and self-reference. Not before. Not at the level of pure permission. Now listen carefully. This part is not here to make life cold. This part is here to keep life honest. Because there is a strange danger in believing the foundation has a goal. If you believe the foundation has a goal, you start excusing things. You start saying it was meant to be. You stop checking. You stop comparing. You stop taking responsibility for your aims. And Part 22 taught us, comparability demands responsibility. So Part 26 protects Part 22. It keeps responsibility in the right place. The foundation does not want your world. The foundation makes wanting possible. The foundation does not want goodness. The foundation makes goodness possible. The foundation does not want meaning. The foundation makes meaning possible. The difference is everything. Now let me make this real. Not with abstract philosophy, with the kind of examples that make your bones understand. The mirror that never wanted your face. Imagine a mirror, just a mirror. You walk toward it. Your face appears. You move your hand. The hand moves in the reflection. You lean closer. Your eye fills the glass. Now ask the simplest question that almost no one asks. Did the mirror intend to show you? Did it decide to reflect you? Did it choose accuracy? Did it aim at truth? No. The mirror is not an agent. It is not trying. It is not aiming. It has no internal should. It has properties. Light arrives, light leaves. An image appears. That's it. Now suppose the mirror is dusty. Your face appears but blurred. Is the mirror failing its purpose? No. It is simply a dusty mirror. Suppose the mirror is cracked. Your face appears in fragments. Is the mirror misbehaving? No, it is simply cracked. Suppose it is a funhouse mirror. Your head stretches, your legs shrink. Is the mirror lying? No, it is simply shaped differently. The mirror never promised you anything. It never tried to be true. It never aimed. It simply allowed reflection to happen in a certain way. Phi is like that. Phi is not the reflection. Phi is not the picture. Phi is the condition that makes picture possible. Phi is the permission for distinction to appear at all. And distinction appearing is not a goal. It is not a project. It is not a plan. It is simply what happens when there is the possibility of same and not same. Phi is a mirror in the deepest sense. It makes appearance possible. But it does not want appearance. It does not intend appearance. It does not love appearance. It does not mourn appearance. It simply allows it. If you understand that, a lot of human confusion begins to dissolve. Because we keep treating the mirror as if it had motives. We keep treating the foundation as if it were a person. But it is not. Gravity does not want the apple. Now take something even more universal. Gravity. An apple falls. A stone drops. A river runs downhill. The moon circles the earth. We can predict so much of this. We can calculate. We can forecast. We can build bridges and launch satellites. Because the pattern is stable. But now ask the dangerous question. Does gravity want things to fall? Does gravity intend to gather things? Does gravity aim to produce orbits? Does gravity pursue order? No. Gravity is not a desire. Gravity is not an intention. Gravity is not a plan. It is a pattern. Whatever its deeper explanation turns out to be in later parts. Right now, we are not allowed to smuggle a reason for it. We are only allowed to say, it behaves. It does not aim. And now, watch the crucial twist. Purpose appears in living beings, not in gravity. A squirrel uses gravity. A squirrel jumps from branch to branch. It judges distance. It chooses timing. It aims its body through the pull downward. For the squirrel, gravity becomes part of a purpose, survival. A farmer uses gravity. He builds terraces. He channels water. He guides flow downhill to feed crops. For the farmer, gravity becomes part of a purpose, harvest. A child uses gravity. She throws a ball up. She watches it fall. She learns. She laughs. For the child, gravity becomes part of a purpose, play. But none of that purpose is inside gravity itself. Gravity does not care about the squirrel. Gravity does not care about the farmer. Gravity does not care about the child. Purpose is not in the falling. Purpose is in the being who can compare outcomes, prefer one, and act. Gravity enables aiming. It does not aim. Phi is like that. Phi is the enabling condition, not the intention. The loom never wanted the carpet. Now come with me back to the loom, not as poetry, as fact. A loom is wood and tension, threads stretched tight, a frame, a mechanism that can hold structure. In the factory, our hands moved. The loom received those movements. Knot after knot, the carpet grew. Beauty emerged, sometimes. Mistakes emerged, often. But ask the simplest question: did the loom want beauty? Did it aim toward the Kherati pattern? Did it care if we got it right? No. The loom held. That's what it did. It provided the condition for weaving. But the aim was never inside the loom. The aim was inside the weaver, inside the master's demands, inside the tradition, inside hunger, inside hope. The loom enabled purpose. It did not contain it. And the loom taught a brutal lesson when the lights went out, when darkness covered everything, when we could not distinguish thread from air, color from color, knot from gap. The loom was still there. The diagram could still exist in memory. The idea of the carpet could still exist in mind. But weaving stopped. Why? Because the act requires distinction. The act requires comparability. To tie a correct knot, you must be able to tell, this is the thread, and this is not. You must be able to compare what you are doing to a pattern. In darkness, comparability collapses, and with it, purposeful action collapses. That moment is the entire point of part 26. Purpose needs a readable world. Purpose needs a world where difference can be tracked. Purpose needs phi. But phi does not need purpose. Phi is the loom. Purpose is the weaver. Water does not thirst. Consider water. It flows. It moves along gradients. It gathers. It evaporates and returns. It shapes landscapes. It sustains life. People say, water wants to reach the sea. It's a beautiful way to speak, but it is not literally true. Water does not want. Water does not intend. Water does not aim. Water flows because of how it is, given the conditions. Now purpose appears in the drinker. A deer comes to the stream because it thirsts. The purpose is in the deer, not in the water. A farmer digs a channel because he wants crops. The purpose is in the farmer, not in the water. A child splashes because she wants joy. The purpose is in the child, not in the water. Water enables purpose. It is not purpose. Phi is like that. Phi does not thirst for truth. Phi makes truth possible. Phi does not thirst for meaning. Phi makes meaning possible. Phi does not thirst for beauty. Phi makes beauty possible. Fire does not desire to burn. Consider fire. Fire consumes fuel. Fire gives heat. Fire gives light. Fire transforms. Entire religions have worshipped fire because it feels alive, because it moves, because it changes things. But fire does not desire. Fire does not intend. Fire does not aim. Fire is a process that unfolds when conditions align. Now purpose appears in the user. A cold person lights a fire for warmth. A cook lights a fire for food. An artisan lights a fire for glass. The purpose is in the person, not in the flame. Fire enables purpose. It is not purpose. And again, phi is like that. Phi is a condition that allows difference to be noticed, difference to be compared, difference to be stabilized, difference to become pattern. But phi does not aim to produce any particular pattern. The human temptation. We project ourselves onto the ground. Now we reach the psychological heart. Why is this boundary so hard? Because humans are purpose-making creatures. We live by why. We breathe why. We wake up in the morning with aims, fears, plans, loves. So we look at the world and we see patterns. And when we see patterns, we instinctively treat them as intentions. We see the sun rise and we say, it rises for us. We see evolution produce complexity and we say, it aims at complexity. We see consciousness appear and we say, the universe wanted minds. We discover phi, the permission behind all comparability, and we say, phi must be trying to accomplish something. This is not stupidity. This is a natural projection. But holophase is an epistemic discipline, not a projection machine. And the firewall exists to stop projection from masquerading as foundation. Holophase says, do not confuse what enables meaning with meaning itself. Do not confuse what enables purpose with purpose itself. Do not confuse the alphabet with the poem. The alphabet does not aim at poetry. Poets aim at poetry. The piano does not aim at sonatas. Composers aim at sonatas. Language does not aim at truth. Truth seekers aim at truth. Phi does not aim at anything. Beings inside Phi aim. This distinction is not small. It is what keeps inquiry alive. Because if you attribute purpose to the ground, you stop asking how purpose arises. You end the story too early. You replace investigation with comfort. And comfort is not truth. Truth is what survives comparison. The core claim, stated twice, cleanly. So let me now state the core claim as required, and then say it again more simply. Core claim. Pure comparability, phi, contains no intrinsic purpose, goal, direction, or teleology. Purpose is an emergent feature of complex, self-referential patterns that operate within phi, not a property of phi itself. Simpler. Phi doesn't want anything. Phi just makes wanting possible. Why this matters. The ethical and scientific danger of teleology. Now we ask, why does this matter? It matters for two reasons. One scientific, one ethical. Scientifically, teleology is a shortcut that kills prediction. If you say, the foundation aims toward consciousness, you can explain anything after the fact. Whatever happens becomes part of the plan. If complexity increases, you say, see, it aimed. If complexity collapses, you say, it aimed through collapse. If suffering happens, you say, it's for a reason. This is not prediction. This is narrative glue. It cannot be falsified because it can absorb any outcome. Holophase refuses that. We are building a discipline where claims can die. So we cannot allow purpose at the foundation unless we can test it at the foundation. Ethically, teleology shifts responsibility away from us. If people believe the universe has a goal, they often begin to justify cruelty. This suffering is necessary. This injustice is part of progress. This oppression is the universe shaping itself. History is full of horrors born from cosmic purpose. Holophase refuses that too. Part 22 taught us. Comparability demands responsibility. If phi is treated as purposeful, humans will hide behind phi. They will say, I'm just following what reality wants. Part 26 keeps that door closed. If phi has no purpose, then the responsibility for purpose remains with us, with our choices, with our aims, with what we decide to do with the permission we have been given. Coherence as the anti-teleology test. Now we bring coherence into the center. Because this episode is not just philosophy, it is an operational posture. Here is a simple rule you can use in your own life. When coherence is low, humans inject purpose to reduce anxiety. When things feel random, we say, it must be for something. When outcomes are confusing, we say, it must have a hidden plan. Teleology often appears where comparability is weak. It is a psychological patch for uncertainty. Holophase does not shame that impulse. It simply refuses to treat it as knowledge. Holophase says, if you want to claim purpose, you must make it comparable. You must make it testable. Otherwise, it is poetry. And poetry is allowed, but it is not the foundation of public knowledge. Prediction: where purpose will appear. Now we state the prediction, plainly, operationally. If part 26 is true, we should expect. Purpose and meaning will appear only when patterns become complex enough to carry memory, preference, and self-reference. When a system can compare states, model outcomes, and act to maintain or change itself. In simple words, purpose will appear where something can learn, where something can remember, where something can prefer, where something can correct itself, where something can say, in some form, this state is better for me than that state. A thermostat does something like this. It compares temperature. It acts to restore a set range. That's a tiny mechanical shadow of purpose. A bacterium does something like this. It moves toward nutrients, away from toxins. That's a biological shadow of purpose. A human does this in a full spectrum. We imagine futures. We compare meanings. We choose. We regret. We revise. We aim. The prediction is, purpose will not be found in bare phi. It will be found in phi patterns that have grown enough structure to loop back on themselves, to become self-referential, to become capable of aboutness. And in later parts, when we enter the differentiated layer, this prediction becomes measurable in the holophase way, because self-referential pattern will correspond to specific kinds of stable, persistent structures inside the derivative language. But at this stage, we keep it simple. Phi is not a goal. Phi is an enabling condition. Falsification: how this claim could die. Now the firewall demands the claim carry a way to die. So here is the falsification. Part 26 fails if you can demonstrate inherent directionality or purpose in pure comparability itself, independent of any complex patterns that use it. Say it plainly. If you can show that the bare possibility of this, not that, contains a built-in arrow toward a specific outcome, then our claim is wrong. If you can show that phi prefers certain distinctions, if you can show that phi pushes toward a goal, not through living beings, not through evolved complexity, not through our interpretations, but in phi itself, then part 26 fails. And here is a second falsification, also concrete. If you can build a reliable predictive science where teleological claims at the foundation outperform scope-bounded falsifiable claims, if the universe wants X produces better long-term prediction than here is what matches under comparison, then our firewall posture is wrong. That would be devastating, but Holophase invites that test. We do not fear falsification. We require it. Scope and limits. What we are not claiming. Now we draw the boundaries. Part 26 is not saying life has no meaning. No. Meaning exists. Purpose exists. Goals exist. Love exists. But they exist as phenomena inside a readable world. Part 26 is not saying never speak poetically. No. Poetry is part of being human. But poetry is not the foundation of public, falsifiable claims. Part 26 is not saying the universe is cold. No, the universe is what it is. Coldness and warmth are categories of experience. And experience belongs to beings who can compare and care. Part 26 is saying something narrower and stronger. Phi, as the permission layer, is not itself a goal-directed agent. It does not intend. It does not plan. It does not want. It allows. That's all. And at this stage, undifferentiated phi, we are not allowed to explain why patterns unfold in particular ways because we have not yet opened the door to differentiated readouts, to omega, kappa, and nu. We are still in the silent ground, the permission layer. So we keep the foundation clean. The listener carry. One sentence. Now I give you the sentence you can carry. A single line. Small enough to hold, strong enough to use. Phi doesn't aim. It allows aiming. If you remember that, you will not be hypnotized by cosmic stories that replace responsibility with destiny. You will not be trapped in the comfort of meant to be. You will keep your claims testable. You will keep your ethics accountable. The bridge forward. And now, naturally, we arrive at the next question. If phi has no purpose, if phi is not a plan, if phi is only the permission for distinction, then what happens if we strip everything else away? If we remove all objects, all stories, all laws, all aims, all patterns we can name, what remains? What is the irreducible core that cannot be removed without removing reality's very possibility? That is part 27. What remains when all is removed? For now, let part 26 settle in you like a quiet clarity. The mirror does not intend. The loom does not want. Gravity does not desire. Water does not thirst. Fire does not plan. And phi is not a purpose. Phi is the permission that makes purpose possible. That is the clean boundary. That is the firewall. That is the ground. Always peace be upon you.